What's going on, guys? It's Grant or G Miners here. I'm going to be showing you guys a new way to do the Sparrow Launch, which I believe is the fastest way not only to Sparrow Launch in the game right now, but also to move after the 2.8 update, which took away Worldline skating. So let's get into it. Okay, so this basically comes down to two parts. The first part is going to be the old Sparrow Launch, and the second part is going to be combining that with Icarus Dash. So if you guys know how to do the Sparrow Launch and you know how to Icarus Dash at the fastest speed possible, then you can pretty much just combine those two to hit a new max speed. If you don't know how to do either one of those or don't know how to do the Sparrow Launch, we're going to get into both of them. So let's get into that first. Okay, so first is Sparrow Launching. The Sparrow Launch, I pretty much broke it up into 3 parts for you guys. I'm also going to leave a link in the description below for a video by a guy named Aoterra, who's part of the speedrunning community, and he is the video that I pretty much learned to do this. I think, though, that he left out some minor details and some key things that help make this easier to learn and to perfect, so I'm going to go over those in this video. But again, his video will be linked in the description below. So the first of the 3 parts of this are going to be just riding the Sparrow and going up to a ramp. So to do that, it's very simple. You're going to hold W key to go forward, and right as you get to the base of the ramp that you're going to use to launch, you're going to boost. It's going to look something like this. The next part of this mechanic is going to be flicking your player model off of the Sparrow. When you're actually going to exit the Sparrow, you're going to want your player model to be 90 degrees. However, if you look, the Sparrow doesn't always match where our cursor is. It kind of lags behind it by a second or so. To counteract for this, we're going to aim at around 120 degrees. And by the time our cursor reaches 120 degrees, our player model should be at 90 degrees. The last and final step for the Sparrow Launch is going to be the exiting mechanic, which is going to just be a jump combined with a dash. To dash on PC, it's double tapping A. Console, it's going to be your left bumper. And you're just going to move over like that after you jump off. When combined properly, it's going to look something like this. As you can see, we started parallel with the door, and we made it a little past these soup cans right here. And lastly, I'm just going to show you what happens when you combine this exiting mechanic with the flicking turning of the Sparrow and the player model. It's going to look something like this and should allow us to go a little bit farther. So as you can see, we made it just slightly past the cans the first time, and now we're kind of up with this drag. So there's about a 10% bonus to the overall distance that your player is going to travel. Now that you guys know each of the steps, this is what it all looks like thrown together. That's the initial burst of momentum that you guys get. If you're somewhere that doesn't have a bunch of rocks in the way, you're going to be able to carry that momentum a lot farther. But that's essentially what the launch does. And now we're going to get into the next part of the video, which is combining this with Icarus Dash. So for people who don't know what Icarus Dash is or how to do it at the fastest speed possible, first off, you need to be playing on a Warlock using the Dawnblade subclass. And then you're going to also be using Top Tree, where Icarus Dash is located. And then lastly, you should always pretty much be using Burst Glide, but if you're not, throw on Burst Glide, because this is, again, going to give you the most momentum possible. One more note, if you guys don't know where to change the toggle for your Icarus Dash, you're going to scroll all the way down and look for your air move right here, and mine's bound to X. Icarus Dash is an in-air dodge move, so if you jump up and press X, you're going to backpedal, and if you run forward and use it in air, you're going to burst forward. Right off the bat, that doesn't really give you any momentum, so what you need to do is combine this with the old Warlock jump cancel. Glad did a pretty good video of this back in the day, so I'm going to link that in the description as well. But essentially what you're doing is, at the peak of your jump with Burst Glide, double tapping really fast to kind of give you a quick burst of momentum. And rather than double tapping while using Icarus Dash, we are going to press space once and then dash after it. So it's going to look something like this. And as you can see, that gives us a huge burst of momentum, and it also does not cancel any previous momentum that we had. It only adds to it. So that's why this is super useful for hitting a new speed on the Sparrow Launch. Now I'm down on the other end of the first encounter of the Scourge of the Past raid, and I'm going to be using this to kind of show you everything put together. Here's what a perfect Sparrow Launch should look like. As you can see, we pretty much carried momentum from one side of this first encounter to the other. So again, if you implement everything right and you execute it in the right order, this is pretty much what I think is the new fastest way to travel inside of Destiny 2. Real quick before you guys go, here's a couple of mistakes that I made when I was first trying to learn this that you might make as well. First is with the launch. When you launch, you don't want to turn immediately as you're going off the ramp. As you can see, my Sparrow landed here when I originally started back over here. And what that's doing essentially is taking momentum away from this direction and adding it to this direction. Okay, so you don't want to do that or make that mistake. Second mistake is going to be with the way that you jump off of the Sparrow. When you jump off of the Sparrow, you're going to want to make sure that you have a little bit of time before you press space again. Otherwise, it's going to immediately launch your player into the air, and that's what this looks like. As you can see, I was just spamming space, and it took all my momentum away horizontally and just kind of added it to the vertical direction. So again, that's the second mistake that you don't want to make. Properly, it should look something like this if you just don't spam space afterwards. As you can see, I didn't touch space at all again, and that just gives me all of my horizontal momentum to essentially bounce off the ground and keep going. If you guys like this video, please comment down below. Let me know. Share it with people. Also, leave a comment down below if you find anything that can make this faster in any way or any issues that you're stumbling upon, and I might be able to help with that. So thanks. Have a good one.